So Ben Shapiro has really been spiraling lately. He's been taking shots at everyone left and right, and anyone who doesn't agree with him gets a label or an insult. And recently, he went after Tucker Carlson for interviewing Nick Fuentes.
The real issue here is I think that Tucker Carlson's morphing from, I would say, a very edgy right-wing political figure on Fox News, but certainly within the mainstream, into a conspiracist, a person who ideologically launders anti-Semitism, who ideologically launders all sorts of anti-Americanism on his show, and then airs it for the public to hear with interviews like the ones he did with Nick Fuentes, which was essentially a massage of Nick Fuentes.
It's been about a month since Tucker did that interview, and Ben Shapiro is still running from one show to another, trying to make people hate them and stop listening. But what he's really doing is the opposite. The more he talks, the more people are actually going and watching them for themselves.
My answer is no. No to the Groypers. No to their publicists like Tucker Carlson. No to those who champion them. No to demoralization. No to bigotry and anti-meritocratic horse shit. No to anti-Americanism. No. This is our country. This is our party. And this is our conservative movement. And I will not stand by while it is handed over to those who betray the most fundamental principles I have spent my entire life defending and advocating. That is a path to defeat and a path to moral oblivion. I reject it because if we lose the right, we will lose to the left. And either way, we'll lose the country.
Of course, everyone is calling him out now. And recently, Candace Owens responded to the moment where Ben got mad at Tucker Carlson for not asking Nick Fuentes hard questions. Candace pointed out how ridiculous he sounded, and she did it perfectly.
Now Nick Fuentes is still here, and Ben's influence is waning. It just factually is. I sense that the pro-Israel lobby is on the brink of collapse. They are desperate for allies, right? And they're so desperate for allies that they're forcing them away. That's what they're doing to Megyn Kelly, right? They're showing the world right now that they are willing to lie to get what they want. Ben is lying right now to get what he wants. And for whatever reason, the pro-Israel lobby believes that this repeat failed strategy of lying and threatening people is going to work. This is exactly what Ben just did on stage. That is exactly the moral blackmail that Charlie was speaking about in the last days of his life, okay?
By the way, she's talking about this moment where Ben was getting mad at Megyn Kelly for not condemning Candace Owens.
I think that what Candace Owens is doing right now is evil. It is evil, what she is doing right now. Okay, and I say that, again...
But what
because
like, I didn't opine on whether it's evil or not, but my position is it's really none of my business. And
why is it? But I have a question. Why is it none of your business? I mean, you comment on these things for a living.
I'm not mother of the internet.
No, but if this were on the left and somebody were accusing Charlie Kirk of his wife having murdered him, I assume that you would be talking about it.
Is that what Candace is accusing Erica of?
Yes.
And this was literally not true, by the way. Even Megyn Kelly came out later and said Ben was lying.
He said that Candace has been claiming Erica Kirk was behind the murder of Charlie, which I had not heard, and I was taken aback because that seems like something I would have heard. It's so crazy. And I have since learned it is not true. Candace has not made that claim. And in fact, I've now seen several clips of Candace specifically defending Erica Kirk and saying she would never make a claim like that about Erica, and that she is open-minded to other people at Turning Point. That's obvious. She's been making that point. I had heard that point. But she's specifically been defending Erica Kirk, and she's been saying she does not think that of Erica. And in fact, if you read her comments, she's under pressure to make comments about Erica. And so far, what I've seen, she hasn't. So
can you imagine lying like that to someone's face just to make them turn against their friend and then getting caught? That's exactly why people said Ben was trying to manipulate the situation. And Candace Owens called him out on it right to his face.
Ben is morally blackmailing Megyn, right? He's sitting across from her. The threat is her reputation. He's standing there and he's saying, Candace is attacking a grieving widow and accusing her of murdering Charlie Kirk. Will you disavow this evil on the spot? And he's got these fake people going, woo, yeah. And you can see Megyn's uncomfortable because she's like, well, did she say that? Man, like maybe that is evil. Like does that happen? And he doubles down. He's like, yes. She said, Seth Dillon murdered Charlie Kirk. Will you disavow this evil on the spot? That is moral blackmail. Are you a better person than to accept Candace Owens, who has attacked a grieving widow and is saying to that grieving widow that you murdered your own husband? That is moral blackmail. Now, speaking of on the spot, everything that you just saw happen here, and Megyn Kelly, I hope you see this. Truly, you guys, send this clip to her. This is really important. It is pre-planned. It is not organic. The supporters are not organic. The questions are not organic. We can pull back another layer of this onion so you can understand how vicious politics is, because it is vicious. You might remember, maybe you forgot, but I spoke at YWLS in 2024, right after I was fired from the Daily Wire. And a big thing happened, and we should never forget it, okay? While I was heading to speak at this event, we learned, because there was an intern at the Daily Wire who had a conscience, and she felt very uncomfortable with the secret mission that she was put on. We learned that a covert mission was happening where they were sending an intern to ask me a question, okay, to get my answer on the question. And then what was going to happen next is they were going to pass around a clip, but they were going to make it look like she was just a random student.
The same Ben Shapiro who spent years calling out the left for cancel culture is now the one trying to cancel anyone who dares speak against Israel. Here, he is attacking the left for cancel culture just a couple of years ago.
Like, I know conservatives are not interested in canceling other conservatives, and they're not going to go along with this. If you're on the left, you probably will be canceled because your own crowd is going to flee from you screaming and running for the hills with their hair on fire the minute that you are called out as anything approaching a racist.
Well, now he might still be against cancel culture, but clearly he makes an exception when it comes to Israel. And here's Dave Smith, who himself is Jewish, calling out that hypocrisy.
And your entire foundation being built on hypocrisy, and that hypocrisy being shown. You know, look, I mean, you can't make this stuff up, right? Ben Shapiro built a career opposing identity politics as a proud Zionist.
Yeah.
Now, you listen, feel however you feel about Zionism. It's identity politics. Like that is the definition of identity. You could not find a better example of a politics built on an identity. And yet you're out here saying facts don't care about your feelings. Identity politics is wrong. And then while you're saying that, your number one priority is this manifestation of identity politics. If you accuse Ben Shapiro of having dual loyalty, they go, oh, that's an anti-Semitic trope. That means you hate the Jews. But then he'll sit there in his own words and say, I forget his exact quote, but it was something like, my favorite thing about the United States of America is that it protects Israel.
He's not making this up. Ben literally said it and still expects us to believe he's America first.
Do you ever wonder if one day you will have to flee the United States?
I mean, I think that every Jew throughout world history who has a brain and knows history has always wondered if a country that is not a Jewish state is going to eternally provide them security guarantees and full citizenship, of course. I mean, that's I think to think that that's why the existence of the state of Israel is the single greatest guarantor of my loyalty to the United States, frankly. Right? Because Israel exists, that means the United States is going to be a more welcoming place for me because Israel is there as a backstop in case anything should go wrong.
So you're already saying you have loyalty to both of these countries. In fact, I'm not so sure about one of the loyalties, but I'm very sure about the other one. And that is not, I'm sorry, that's not a statement against Jewish people. I'm Jewish. I love Jewish people. You know, it's like I get called a self-hating Jew on Twitter or whatever. It could not be further from the truth. I actually really love Jewish people. There's many things about Jewish culture that have, you know, had a huge impact on me, made me the person I am, made me a better person for their impact on me. But this is a foreign government. Like, I'm sorry. We're allowed to talk about that.
The more you try to silence something, the louder it becomes. And honestly, that's exactly what we're seeing right now. The more Ben Shapiro and others try to suppress certain voices, attack them, or tell people not to listen, the bigger those voices actually grow. It always backfires. People get curious, they go watch for themselves, and the message ends up spreading even faster. If you want to see more content like this, make sure to subscribe to our channel.